Well, hi there, hey there, ho there. Welcome to the Inga Barks Show. My name is Inga, and these are the studios of the wonderful Blue Sky Media and Kerncast at Facebook, which is where you can catch us. But if you're watching this, you already know that. And I welcome you to the show. This is my fat face. And for your viewing pleasure today, let's see what a heart-shaped thingies on a string. And let's see, baubles that I got at the, oh, you know where I got these? I got these at that, at the Encore, which is the secondhand, gently worn store that benefits the women at the homeless shelter getting jobs, learning how to do retail. So I love to shop there. And then, unfortunately, vitamin water, which is not, I need to put some water in it. It's too thick for me. So that's it. That's all I have for your viewing pleasure today, and including the face. Anyway, I welcome you to the show. We have a lot of stuff to do today, and I look forward to doing these things with you. We've got Goose on the other side of the glass table, working his patootie off in his white shirt. And, you know, and I have to give him credit, the collar's white, too. I mean, I grew up in the 70s where there was always that ring around the collar commercial. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you've got the ancient Chinese secret. You must have it because the collar's white. So I give you credit for that. All right, starting the program. Let's start easy. Not easy, but come on. Oh, and today we're going to show you a video that that for people like me enables people like me to make fun of people like them. No, I'm kidding. Young people in particular. But let's start with the Bakersfield Californian and a report that they put out today. And of course, my entire computer says, "Oh snap." Either Chrome ran out of memory or the web page terminated. That's okay. It's all right. I can live with this. I can do this. Okay, so the thing is, this organization called the Trust, the Park, let's see, they're called the Trust for Public Land Study. Now, this is not a local group. This is a national nonprofit, and their goal is to get more parks in more cities. And I'm sure they're funded by somebody. Otherwise, why would they be traveling around the country saying, you know, build more parks? My issue with people from the outside coming to the inside and telling us what to do is that they don't take into account our fiscal issues, our particular planning, our planning visions that we already have in place, things like that. But that's okay. This is just a generic study that they did that said that basically that only 45% of Bakersfieldians are within 10 minutes walk to a park. And they said only 56 in Los Angeles. So you got 45 in Bakersfield, 56 in Los Angeles. And they said, why 10 minutes? Well, because 10 minutes is the distance that they think that people will walk the farthest before they give up and quit having a will to live, which I think is hilarious. Really? Do you have a park near you?
We have North High School near us, so yes, we actually have North High, and then we have North Meadows.
You had a big park like planted in the neighborhood up there, but I don't know how close it is to you.
Yeah, we got a couple for walking distance from us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, people have heard me say this before. This is the truth. Where I live, from where I live, I can go to the end of my street, which is a 10-minute walk in and of itself because it's a very long street. But if I go directly across the street, I'm in a pocket park. If I go across an arterial, I am in a very, very large park with a swimming pool. If I continue walking a couple more blocks, I'm in another very, very, big, huge park with a play area. Now, if I get to the end of my street, and there's the pocket park, and I decide to go right, then I run into a very, 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 very large, like practicing soccer-sized park. That's what these parks are in my neighborhood. And I just within walking distance, 10 minutes maybe from that intersection, maybe less. And if I cross over another arterial, walk down a couple of blocks, there'll be another ginormous park. So I'm not hurting for parks. Maybe you're hurting for parks. I don't even live that far away from where what is it called? The pickleball? Is that the new thing? The new thing now is pickleball?
Oh, yeah.
It's like somewhere between Baton Rouge or what's that game called? Badminton.
Badminton. Did you ever play that in high school?
Badminton? Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Well, we played it in the pool at my house because I grew up with a pool because we were fancy. Yeah, that's a joke, by the way. Anyway, I'm near the sports park too. Well, I have to drive there, but it's not that far. I can hear myself, and that's going to make me nuts. It's going to make me punch you in the face. Yeah, especially because it's on delay. Okay, so anyway, the reason I bring up all these parks that are near my house is because this is how it goes in Bakersfield. Now, I don't know about Kern County, but I know about Bakersfield proper. Pretty much what happens is, as developers build homes and you know, they do entire developments, they are oftentimes required by, say, the city to put in a park, to put a park in the neighborhood. Now, I've seen some neighborhoods that have been built in the last couple of years, entire neighborhoods, no park. And nobody seems to complain. In fact, they moved into those houses. In fact, they were waiting to move into those houses. They were on waiting lists to get into those houses. And then there are some that they build that do have parks. But the planning commissions or the city council will require of a developer that if you want to build a bunch of houses here, then you're going to have to put a park in. So you know, you look at the size of a park. And that could be filled with houses that they could have made $1 million off of, you know, if you multiply all the houses that they could have sold in that same space. But it's mandated, so the powers, you know, so the developers will go ahead and build the park, and then after a certain number of years pass, and I don't know what the number is on that, by the way, don't ask me, but after a certain number of years, the city then, your taxpayer dollars, take over those parks. So then they become our liability financially. And, you know, I'm not against parks. I'm not for parks. I'm not for strangers coming in and telling us that we need more parks. You know, this is their analysis from an outside view. Look, when I was a kid, I lived in Benton Park. I grew up I never knew it was called Benton Park, but it had a name. And we had a Thrifties, we had a library, we had the Veterans Hall, Wilson, Hughes, Ming, you know, that whole, and there was a park there, Benton Park, and it took about 10 minutes, even by bike, to get there from my house, and it was a blast riding our bikes to the park. We didn't mind at all, because once we hit that sump, we'd be riding down it fast and sliding over to the other side and scooting up it fast. But anyway, you know, it's not that I'm opposed to parks. It's that I want us to recognize the cost to the community every time we put one up. Just because some outside group comes along and says, we really need more parks. And you know why? Did I tell you why they have the 10-minute thing? Oh, I did, didn't I? And this is their assessment. The 10-minute thing is so that because they say people won't walk otherwise. So they're trying to get you out of your cars. Let me ask you something. Your kid's school, how far is it away? Is it 10 minutes away or less? My children's school was less. By car. I drove my kids to school every day. You know why? Because there's perverts in my neighborhood that have been let out. You know why I picked them up every day? Because there are perverts in my neighborhood that have been let out. Right? So you got this whole slew of people with their SUVs, you know, women sitting alone on their phones, their SUVs, engines running, men too, I'm sure, waiting for their kids to get out of school or go into school, you know, just burn the tailpipes, just blowing out exhaust, because we're afraid of the people in our neighborhood and who they might be. So we don't want our little ones walking home. I let mine after a while, by, you know, 5th, 6th grade, but when they were younger, not a chance, no way, not a chance. And so here they think I'm going to suddenly get home with the kids and go, hey, let's walk to a park. I lived in the Oleander area for many, many years. I never, not once, went to the park there in Oleander. What is that, Beale? Jastrow? No, Jastrow's on Truxton. Beale? Never went there once with my children. Why? Because there's creepy people in the park. We went to Laurel Glen or Campus Park. We went to Stockdale Estates. I took my kids everywhere as far away as I could get from the parks in my area. So the walking thing is ridiculous. First of all, it assumes that we feel like walking, and maybe we don't. And if they're trying to force us to walk, well, they can't. Now, the city responded by saying, Diana Hoover from the Parks Department, nice person, said, we really do need more parks. People have a lot of interest in parks. Okay, then move into a neighborhood with a park. I don't understand the problem here, except that, let me just put this bug in your ear. Now, I know this is Inga being paranoid and neurotic, as I normally am. Besides, hey, by the way, 56% of LAians, Angelinos,
yeah,
56% are within 10 minutes of a park, which is really 30 minutes if you count traffic, but still, that's pretty awesome that they have that many parks. Now, what are the parks? Like MacArthur? When my husband was at St. Vincent's Hospital on 3rd and Alvarado, MacArthur Park was across the street. Mm-hmm. There were too many hypodermic needles to go for a barefoot walk. So, yeah. But so what parks are there? But still, 56%, that's pretty dang good. And the other percentage, maybe they don't want to be near a park. Maybe they don't like the sound of screaming children. Maybe they don't, maybe they're retired and they want to live in a gated community where they don't have to trouble themselves with such things, right? So anyway, I know I make a big deal out of nothing, but it's for a purpose, and the purpose is that because I am a neurotic, crazy, I watch Stranger Things maybe too many times. Yeah. Are you on camera now?
Yeah, I'm on camera.
So they saw you go.
Yeah. It took me a while to get the camera running.
I was an X-Files fan too, so just
so was I.
There you have it. So. I told you guys this a couple weeks ago. We've got upcoming taxes on both, I do believe, city and county ballots. And the argument at first is roads, we need roads, vote for taxes for roads. And I guess the survey says people go, you're doing road work everywhere. I can't get anywhere because there's so much road work. So it looks like you got the money. So then they go, law enforcement, you need more law enforcement. People are dying in the streets. To which people like me say, yes, so why are you sending money to programs that the private sector could handle instead of using taxpayer dollars to fund those programs? You could be funding a sheriff's deputy or a police officer. So now I'm convinced that Bakersfield, California, and talk about collusion, is in collusion with the pro-tax people to say, I mean, think about the Californian, think about the people you've known who've worked there, I've known some great people there, but mostly they're the wine and cheese, pinky up people who work there. They think everybody rides a bike and wants a bike path, and they're all old Bakersfield, and they go to all the private school fundraisers, and they all eat at the Pyrenees.
I like Pyrenees.
I do too. But I'm just talking about a certain kind of person, people who think they are really culturally elite. Okay.
Yeah,
I know what I'm saying.
About, yeah.
And in fact, there was one show I heard today by accident on a station I used to work for, and the guy, Richard Bean, he's the host there. He was nice guy, but he had this wine woman on. She was talking about taking classes for wine, and you could go to Paso Robles and take step 1, step 2, and step 3, and learn all about wine. And I was like, how many regular Joes driving around town right now are going, oh yes, I've got so much time to go to Paso Robles. So and pay hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars to learn more about wine. Merlot. But this is just me. So I see this as all part of that whole thing. Mm-hmm. We need roads, we need cops, we need roads. Well, we pay for roads. We've paid for roads more than once. We've paid for roads multiple times, and you still come back and ask for roads. I'm not talking about necessarily just local, I'm talking about state as well. Well, we need more law enforcement. Yeah, you do need more law enforcement. Prioritize a little bit on your spending. I really don't care about the assistant secretary to the assistant secretary to the assistant chairman of the land use department. Mm-hmm. No offense to the assistant secretary to the assistant secretary to the assistant. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
here?
I see what you're saying.
And now it's, parks. Oh, our children won't have parks. No.
I mean, that was one of the arguments I think that was brought up with libraries.
I forgot about the libraries.
And you know, they had a chance, I think, a couple of years ago
to go private.
To go private with them.
I was at the ground floor of that argument.
And oh no, we can't privatize them. That would be wrong. How would that be wrong?
Because the unions wouldn't have control of them,
mm-hmm.
and they'd cost less money. So, you know, and they'd be probably better run. And that was about the time we were finding bed bugs in the chairs at the libraries. And so at the same time as the library system was complaining about, and again, I don't dislike any of you public employees. I want to be one of you. I want your retirement. I do. I want the vacation time. No, I'm not kidding. But my sister's a public employee. My dad, my brother. I used to be one. Have you ever been a public employee?
No, my wife is.
Yeah, at Christmas.
Yeah.
Like sitting around knitting. It's awesome. So where was I going with that? The thing is libraries.
Libraries.
And my argument always was, regardless of the libraries we have, and the Beale is a beautiful facility. I used it when I was in college. But now Cal State has a beautiful facility, and you've heard me make this argument before. BC has a library. Every single high school has a library. And you know what? If I really need to do a research paper on something and I can't find that book at the library, guess where I can find it?
On the internet.
I love librarians. Like I said the last time we talked about this, that's who I used to call to find out how to spell things before spell check came around. I call the library reference desk. But I'm all of this is panic. We have to have these things. That's because we've always had these things, and we think maybe some of them are necessities when really I don't think they are. Now, that doesn't mean I want the public libraries to close. I think the private option is a really good option. I really do. And what?
I was going to say, was it you I talked about when I went and spoke at the Board of Supervisors, and my sons were there. And there was one young lady from Delano who was talking about how her library was only open 3 days a week. It's only open 3 days. And how are we supposed to do our homework if we don't have the library open? And my 15-year-old son said, how about you do it at home?
I wish we had this. I wish we had. Do you know what my first computer was for writing papers for college? Commodore 64.
Oh, I remember those.
You used to have to type in a code just to get it to do the tab for the next paragraph. I mean, it was miserable. And then, of course, you got to line up the paper on the little rubbery things, right? The little wheels. Get the little holes lined up just right, and then wait for it. Zit, 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 and then inevitably it runs out of ink, or you run out of paper.
I was even more archaic than that. I actually used a typewriter.
I did too. I did too at first because that's all I had.
That's all we had.
Yeah, and I used to have to take my handwritten papers to my dad's house because he was a better typist than I was, and he would type them up for me on his computer because that Commodore 64 took forever. And but anyway, so yeah, I mean, look, it's at our fingertips now. So just as you continue to hear these stories, just understand that somebody's angling to explain to you how badly you need something that you may not need or want. And if you do want or need it, there might be another way to fund it. And if you do want or need it and there's no other way but public funds to fund it, I bet there's a less expensive way for public funds to fund it. I was listening to my favorite LA talk station today, and they were joking, but it's true, about how the poopy cleaners in San Francisco,
the poop patrol,
they make like six digits. Well, you're putting your life on the line. There's hepatitis in there. There's cooties. I mean, that's overtime, I'm sure. I know, it got me thinking, hey, how afraid am I of poop? For that kind of money, I'd become pro high-speed rail so I could get to work and come back here. Anyway. Just saying.
I'm sorry, I have no comment.
I'm just saying.
I'm just...
But high-speed rail is another perfect example of something we were sold on that we had to have. Californians had to have it. And it was because people from Northern California just wanted to get down to Southern California quickly. And Kevin De Leon said it very well. You and I are just a place that tumbleweeds blow through. So we're perfect for their scientific study, and go ahead and plow through farmland. Go ahead and use up billions and billions of dollars of taxpayer dollars so you can get from there to there. But, nobody really, they did ask us, but I don't think it passed in Kern County. So anyway, that's
the train to nowhere.
It surely is.
That's what I call it.
Yeah, well, it's a good line. It's a good line. I'd rather have water. So anyway, no offense to anybody, but what I wanted to tell you, okay, we got to take a break. What I have to tell you about the article, and again, I lost it. My computer ditched it. But one of my favorite things in the article from the Bakersfield Californian is that according to the Trust for Public Land study, we need that it is imperative that we are brining more parks. And I thought, you know what, we do need a little more salt in our parks. Brining our parks. They meant bringing more parks, but they forgot a G in there, so I just am poking fun because I love typos. I make them all the time, so I can make fun of them because I am one.
I love it when you read an article and it reads like someone didn't know how to write English.
You know what? I feel bad sometimes because I'll see a person reading a teleprompter, and the person whatever they're reading, whoever wrote it, doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But nothing's better than Al Sharpton. We can't get any better than Al Sharpton. Has anybody asked you to play that yet?
No. You want me to find it?
We should. Yes, we should.
Let me see if I can find
and
it.
will we much, and much shall we will. RESPICT. Hey, today's my Friday. Might as well laugh a little bit.
That's true.
Here's the Californian article. It says Bakersfield could use more parks, yada, yada, yada. Memphis, it's not good, but San Francisco, Minneapolis, Bakersfield ranks much lower in the 60s. In Los Angeles, cities are starting to see parks as destinations. We've always seen parks as destinations. I've had birthday parties at parks. We played volleyball. Well, I didn't. I watched. But anyway, let's see. Recently, I want to find the word brining, so you guys will believe me. But I'd have to look for it on a break. So anyway, just trust me. According to California, we need to be brining more of our parks, and especially the spray parks. I imagine nothing like a little salt water in your face. So. By the way, the one time I went to the Dead Sea, Solomon and I went to the Dead Sea, everything's great. You really do float in the Dead Sea. You really can sit up. It doesn't matter. You could weigh 500 pounds and you can sit up in the Dead Sea. It's so full of salt. The problem is if you splash even remote, if you just tiny little splash, and it gets in your eyes, you are toast. And poor Solomon, he's wading out, and he's a big kid, and suddenly he's totally buoyant, having a great time. And it was somebody else who splashed toward him, and he can't see. And I kick into mommy mode. Now I'm 5 foot tall, he's 6'2". I'm like, I'll save you, my son, because he can't see anything. And in my rush to get to him, I'm splashing salt in my face. And so we're both like blindly walking. And on the shore, they've got these eyeball cleaners. They've got these water coming out all the time. You just stand under there and you just go,
Forget pepper spray. Just
pure Dead Sea, and you'll scare them away. So anyway, that's that. All right, we'll take a break. We'll look for Al Sharpton. Why not have some fun, huh? Why not? So that's my bit on parks. I don't know what else will come up next. Maybe vector control, because we've got new mosquitoes. We must raise taxes for vector control. And in the end, the question should always be, in my opinion, what did you do with the money we've given you? Make an account for it. And the problem for them, for politicians, and that's what our city and county people are. Of course, you got Lorelei Aviat, who's not elected. She knows how to put together a budget. And you've got Alan Tandy, who some like, some can't stand, who has kept us afloat anyway. But in the end, these electeds have to decide, am I going to tick off the employee unions? Or am I going to just talk to my constituents that I love so much and they love me and explain to them how much they need? Which would you do? So, well, hopefully you deal with the unions. All right, we're going to take a break. We will take a break. We'll be right back. It's the Inga Barks Show, broadcasting from the absolutely beautiful Bakersfield Music Hall of Fame with Blue Sky Media and Kerncast. Like and share, like and share. We'll be right back.
At the time you were arrested, you were served with a DS-367 temporary driver's license. It's good for 30 days, but if you don't act within 10 days, at the end of those 30 days, your license will be suspended. It's important for your lawyer to contact the DMV for you. Set up a driver's license administrative hearing so that your license is not going to suspension. That's something here at Braemar Law we do for you.
Patriot Bail Bonds has the best customer service in Bakersfield. Patriot has more 5-star ratings than any bail company in Kern County. Plus, we're fast and affordable. If you run into the law, make Patriot Bail Bonds your first call. That's right, one call, that's all.
If you're in jail, call Patriot Bail.
I choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
We choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
We choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
If the best criminal attorneys choose Patriot Bail Bonds, who would you choose?
Patriot Bail Bonds. We fight for your freedom.
All right, hey, welcome back. It's the Inga Barks Show from Blue Sky Media and Kerncast. Please do like and share our program. And I got to tell you, it's the second day in a row, Goose, that I feel human.
You feel human?
Yeah, I remember yesterday I said it was the first day that I actually feel like a human. Today I feel like a human again. It's really nice. And I figured out the secret. All I eat is chicken. I eat chicken with a little bit of mayo on the side. I eat chicken with cottage cheese. I eat chicken with applesauce like you would a pork chop. It's been great. All right, let's go to, I want to go back and I want to apologize to the city because according to this study by this trust, what they say is, and I'm not really apologizing to the city, I'm just saying, the trust estimates that Bakersfield spends $66 per resident on public parks. Now, it doesn't say annually or monthly. It doesn't really say, but okay, let's go even with annual. $66 per resident, and the national median expenditure is $83 per resident. So I guess I have to credit them for spending less than everybody else. Shazam! Okay, that's all I got. That's all I've got on that one. All right, let's go to the absolutely awesome plan of Santa Ana. The city of Santa Ana has said to itself, we got to do something about homeless people. And I know this sounds cruel. It's not uncommon. It's just they're being blatant about it. The mayor of Santa Ana has literally said, well, here's what he says. Let's harass them and get tougher with them until they move somewhere else. I mean, not everybody who's home... Well, what? Why are you laughing?
I'm sorry to laugh, but...
Not everybody who's homeless is homeless because they can't find a place to be.
Oh, no, I agree with that.
Yeah. So, and when you're finding now down in Southern California, they're finding the hypodermic needles. The tents are lined up down their canalways, places where you and I would get a ticket or arrested. When I was a kid, I grew up by canals, and my high school was by a canal. And, stay out, stay alive was the big sign right there outside. I never went in those gates. Never went in those gates. Because I preferred the staying alive part, and these people, they'll climb that fence. They will walk onto your property. They'll trespass. They'll live in their cars. In fact, some of the communities have put the kibosh. I believe Santa Barbara is one of them. Put the kibosh, or is it California in general, on limiting homeless people living in their vehicles. And we all sympathize. We talk about the homeless situation all the time. We all sympathize with it. But you know what? If there's a community that would rather, that likes having all of the homeless people, send them there. Harass them until they go there. Make them miserable here. I know that sounds cruel, but, and please do not think that I'm comparing human beings to bugs. I am not comparing human beings to bugs, but it's the only thing I can think of. When my house is sprayed, they all go next door. It's true. Have your neighbors ever been tented or sprayed? And suddenly you're like, where did that come from? Sitting there on the...
I can relate.
Like, oh my goodness. So, but again, I'm not comparing humans. I'm just comparing the principle there. But so that's what they've said. They've said harass them until they go to another town. The mayor says, I believe we're about to come up with a settlement. Says the city council's regularly scheduled at the meeting that they had this week. What I'm suggesting is that maybe through the city attorney, the minute we have a settlement, we can have some type of interim agreement with the court so that we can start enforcing our anti-camping laws. You would enforce them against me. Have you ever been up on the bluffs and you're sitting in the car? Mm-hmm. Maybe you're necking, maybe you aren't. Okay, we were necking, but we were married. Tap, 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 tap. Right? I know there's no money in nailing homeless people. There's not money in that. There's no tickets to give or whatever. And I'm going to obey the law. As soon as the officer goes tap, 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 we go, all right, we're out of here. All clothes were on, but we were married. So anyway, he says, what I'm suggesting is that maybe through the city attorney, the minute we have a settlement, we can have some type of interim agreement with the court so we can start enforcing the anti-camping laws. I don't have a problem with that at all. Mm-hmm. I mentioned yesterday that on Tuesday, as I was driving home from here, there was a man asleep on the median, the very narrow median between the Bank of America and the Liberty Bell on Truxton. And I happen to know that many cities, I believe including ours, have made it's not legal because it's dangerous to stand right there at the tip of the median and ask for money and stuff. You can get hit. Mm-hmm. I've seen little children standing out there with their car wash for funeral signs. And I'm like, what are you doing with the children? So anyway, that's me. So some of the homeless people are flat out criminals. They're mean people who are terrorizing our community under federal court precedent. Cities can face legal liability if they enforce laws against homeless people. Is it legal to be homeless? I did not know. Let's see, the people homeless. When there is a shortage of adequate shelter beds that provide alternatives to sleeping on the street. Okay. Let's see. So the story goes on and on, but that's what they're thinking of doing in Santa Ana. Yeah, where is Santa Ana? There's the Winds. They've got the Winds. I've been there.
I want to say it's in Orange County.
It's by the beach, right?
Yeah.
I think I went to a Goodwill there once for Salvation Army. Oh, I went to the Republican National Committee, or the state Republican Party convention there. That's why it felt like I was at a Goodwill or a Salvation Army. I kid. So anyway, that's what they're doing in Santa Ana. As for people parking in their cars, I'll have to find the exact story, but I was just reading about it the other day. And I know a businessman who runs a hotel in Santa Barbara. And it's across the street from a very large park where homeless people like to hang out. Fine. They even have church services on Sunday. Great. But they used to line the streets with their vans and their trucks. And in all of the areas where you didn't have to have a permit to park, and they'd sleep in those vehicles. And then tourists or people who were staying at the hotel had no place to park. And then they were up all night, they were making noise, they were vandalizing people's houses, they really were. Meanwhile, people who actually live on the streets with their homes on the streets, they have to have permits, they have to pay for permits to park in front of their own houses. I know. So the guy who owns the hotel went to the city and he worked really, really hard, and he made it so that there are time limits as to how long you can park along the park there. And whether it's worked or not, I don't know. But the article I was reading the other day was either Santa Barbara or it was statewide. They're cracking down on that. You can't tell people they can't sleep in their car on the sidewalk for all day and night. Okay. All right. What do you have for me?
Oh, I was just going to say that, I mean, this may sound mean, but I knew eventually something like this was going to happen. I knew
in Santa Ana?
In Santa Ana. I knew that, because I think that, I think we've all talked about this, the fact that there's a different, how do I say this? The homeless problem has become too complicated. Because we know that there are some people that are homeless that need to be mentally cared for. Mm-hmm. We know that there are some people who are homeless who they go to the shelters,
right,
and then every day they're asked to leave for whatever reason. And then there are just some people, and then there are those people who just want to be homeless.
But you'd agree, 10 years ago, there was a problem with encampments along the dry riverbed. They were behind the shrubs somewhere on the bike path. Now they're on the corner of Brundage and Stockdale. They're on White Lane. They're in Callaway, for pity's sake. Mm-hmm. It's a whole different thing now. It's a whole different group of people sleeping on park benches, and or bus stop benches.
There's also a group of people. There's a whole different sector where they take advantage of the homeless situation. They're not homeless, but they know that they can go out there with a sign and look pitiful, and people will hand them money.
I won't.
And I think that problem needs to be addressed separately from the homeless problem.
I am convinced, but I'm willing to try, that if we raised enough money to expand every shelter by 20 beds, 30 beds, 60 beds, would those people go to those shelters?
Yeah, no.
Probably wouldn't.
Because there are those who just refuse to live by society's rules and choose to be homeless because that's the way they want to live.
And with freedom comes responsibility. If you want to live free, there are things that come along with that. And what, for if I can be selfish for a moment, it is what frustrates me is the disparity between the way I'm treated under the law and the way that low income or homeless people, especially homeless people, are treated under the law. Mm-hmm. It's a different situation, and as if I have money, there's more sympathy for the homeless guy, but I'm still expected to abide by all the rules, and they're not, and that it's extremely frustrating because I'm the one paying the taxes, right? Mm-hmm. You're the one paying the taxes. Mm-hmm. So I know it sounds heartless, but I say run them into the next town. I was in Pixley the other day. They had a bunch of empty buildings. Don't go to Pixley.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've addressed is the fact that, especially in Oildale, there's a lot of people who are just squatting. They find an empty house and they just break in and they're going to live there. Mm-hmm. And they dare whoever it is that owns the property they dared them to kick him out.
We had a house next door to us that had been foreclosed on during the big, when everybody was getting foreclosed on time, season. And that house was empty for probably 2 years. And it was because what was owed on the house was considerably more than it was actually worth, right? So it sat empty. And over time, my boys and I, we'd have to go over there a couple of times a week to re-secure the sliders. The toilets didn't flush, but they were full. I didn't clean them. That wasn't my problem.
Right.
But, re-secure the doors and the sliders and make sure there weren't bugs or something, and it's a pain in the neck. And that was just a party house. People weren't squatting there. They were just going there to party. Probably young people.
It wasn't me. I wasn't there.
We're not young.
Thanks a lot.
You're not young. But anyway, the people, it was funny because the mayor of Santa Ana apologized to Costa Mesa and Anaheim. He's like, dude, sorry, we're sending them to you. If they run to you, we're sorry. But you deal with it over there. If you dig it, then dig it.
Yeah, before we go to break, let me ask you this, because there was something that happened earlier this year in Anaheim, actually, because they had a huge encampment right near Angel Stadium. And it became a big thing because, oh my gosh, you can't move these people. I mean, and I'm thinking, yes, you can. You know.
They did for the Super Bowl in Oakland or San Francisco or wherever it was. Remember?
I remember. I know they did it when the Olympics were in Atlanta. When
I was in New York City for the RNC, they moved all the homeless people out of the Hotel Pennsylvania. The one the song's about, and they put us in there. So yeah, no, it is definitely possible. They gave them vouchers or sent them someplace, and it is definitely possible. And I think in the end, like the city council passed a ordinance years ago that you could put up no panhandling signs in front of your store, like at Town and Country on Stockdale and Gosford or Coffee or whatever it's called by that point, and no panhandling that went next to the no skateboarding, no all of that stuff, roller skating, all that stuff. And then they went to a policing plan where the police would go, and if they saw a homeless person, they were supposed to do some kind of community policing where they would say, are you okay? Do you have a place to go? Can I help you find a place to go? Yada, yada. I don't know how that's going. Our police are pretty tied up at the moment. But that was another big city plan. And if the answer in the end is money, my dear friend John French, who I love so much, who made his theory the other day was we should sell weed and take the money to pay for the homeless. I already pay for the homeless. I'm not saying don't legalize weed, do whatever you want, but don't justify it that way. No offense, John, love you. It's a friendly conversation. I already paid for it. Whether they're in a hospital for free, what's the word I'm looking for? Not indigenous, not indignant. Indigent?
Indigent, yeah.
Are extremely expensive to hospitalize. And they're at the former KMC and you and I are paying for it. If they're in prison, you and I are paying for it. If they're at the shelter, you're volunteering and your donations are paying for it. And some tax dollars and grants. So I guess I'm kind of losing patience with this because I don't want to be Santa Ana. And you know what? We have a mayor. Of course, she's not a strong mayor. And by that's not a put down. That's our system. The city council is strong and the mayor is weak, as opposed to like L.A. where Garcetti rules the roost, or in Fresno, Lee Brand. But we have a mayor who not only sympathizes with this plight, but gets grant money for her own church's programs to work with, to practically encourage. I don't know. And then I have a friend, Kelly. I know, we got to go to break. I'm sorry. I have this friend, Kelly. She's so wonderful. She works at Flood Ministries, I believe it is, or she used to. And what they do is they really try to help people transition. And they find candidates. I remember she roamed the alleys and interviewed people at the shelters, and they found a good candidate who just needed to. They just needed to transition. They really didn't want to be homeless, and a home was donated for him. And these things are great. I think that stuff is all great, and it's all private sector. And churches. All right, we're taking a break?
Right.
All right, do I have time to go put some water in this?
I believe so.
All right, very good. Well, then we'll be right back. I'm excited. I'm sorry. I told you I feel like a real human. Maybe I shouldn't. We'll be right back. I'm Inga. This is the Inga Barks Show from the beautiful Blue Sky Media and Kerncast. Please like and share our shows. We'll be right back.
Introducing the new California State Penitentiary Bologna Sandwich. Jail food sucks. Don't let your family eat jail food.
Patriot Bail Bonds has the best customer service in Bakersfield. Patriot has more 5-star ratings than any bail company in Kern County. Plus, we're fast and affordable. If you run into the law, make Patriot Bail Bonds your first call. That's right, one call, that's all.
If you're in jail, call Patriot Bail.
At the time you were arrested, you were served with a DS-367 temporary driver's license. It's good for 30 days, but if you don't act within 10 days, at the end of those 30 days, your license will be suspended. It's important for your lawyer to contact the DMV for you. Set up a driver's license administrative hearing so that your license is not going to suspension. That's something here at Braemar Law we do for you.
Barking like a dog.
Choked, he choked like a dog. Choked like a dog. Choked like a dog.
We've seen you employ people, expect unwavering loyalty, teach them tricks and give them treats for a job well done, like, 6 figures worth of hush money to silence an alleged affair, for example. But the moment they deviate from their good behavior and fail to fetch, you publicly condemn them on Twitter with animalistic slurs. Steve Bannon was, quote, dumped like a dog. You tweeted after he was fired. Sally Yates, you said she choked like a dog during her Senate testimony on the Russia investigation. And now Omarosa. That doesn't include all those outside your orbit you've hit with a canine cut down. Like when you referred to black NFL players as sons of, well, female dogs. But I think you might have learned a lesson this week. Sometimes the dog bites back with a book deal. And while we're talking about female canines, you know what they say about payback? It's a real, well, I'm sure you know the word I'm thinking of. So in the words of my late friend Aretha Franklin, show some RESPICT. And the next time you get a black woman and a beagle confused, remember this, I got you.
Oh, gosh. Just a little respect. That's all he wants. Just a little bit.
RESPICT.
So you haven't seen that yet?
I have not seen that. I don't watch I don't watch
Nobody does.
MSNBC. I used to watch it only during the day because it would show the tracker.
I didn't even know that What's His Head was still on. But how does he say Omarosa?
Like Omarosa.
Oh, he does. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what's
actually,
funny?
I don't even know. I don't even know if I even heard him say it. I don't even know if he even said Omarosa.
Oh, okay.
But it was like.
That's because you can't tell what he's saying. No, you can tell what he's trying to say. I know, it's hilarious.
I've got to ask you this because
it's hilarious. I would not make it 5 minutes in this business if I could not articulate it.
His good friend Aretha Franklin shows some RSIPICT. Oh my gosh. How do you get that wrong?
The only thing bad, that's up there with when he did "Resist we much, and must we shall will."
I gotta
much.
I'm gonna venture into some dangerous territory here.
What's that?
But do you? I gotta ask.
Sorry, I keep itching my nose, folks.
Do you think that the president has kind of trusted some of the wrong people?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, first we have Omarosa, and now we have Michael Cohen.
Absolutely. And I think George Bush did too, only George Bush trusted people that were unknowns. Mm-hmm. Like, we knew who Steve Bannon was. We knew who Reince Priebus was. We knew who Omarosa was. These aren't strange names to us, some of these names. And whereas with Bush, he said, I looked in Putin's eyes and saw a friend. That Putin... okay, he's way over that away. So yes, I do. I think that this president trusts people because he's a straight shooter. He assumes people are straight shooting, and I think that he has been naive in that regard. But he's used to barking orders, and one of the things that my favorite guy in the whole wide world used to say is that people who run corporations would have a hard time being president because they're used to things being done by the end of the day, right? You over there, you do that, you get that back to me by 5, and it just doesn't work that way in government. And so there's a lot of things he's had to adjust to, and I still give him credit. I'm over wishing that he didn't tweet as much as he did. I'm totally over that when people talk about it, But on the issue of Omarosa and MSNBC, I was watching a show on MSNBC the other day that I have no idea what it was. I have no idea who the person was. I looked for it online, but I couldn't find it. But there was this gal who said, Omarosa... Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Omarosa made Donald Trump. He was nobody until The Apprentice. Yeah. Nobody knew who he was. Did you know who he was before The Apprentice?
Of course I did.
You'd heard of him? From the pizza commercials with Ivanka. No, Ivanka? Who was his ex-wife? Ivanka. Yeah. Remember they had the pizza commercial where they ate the Pizza Hut pizza backwards? Crust first because it had cheese in it? That's what made him Pizza Hut. Anyway, these people are so incredibly delusional. I am sorry that he trusted Omarosa, and he probably thought she knows how to go to blows. She's a fighter, and she'd fight for me. Well, she fights for Omarosa, and it's unfortunate. So anyway, there's that. Here's back to a local story that caught my attention today. Former Kern County Superior Court Commissioner, I won't say his name. I don't know why. If he wants a fresh start in life, I'm willing to give it to him, has been publicly censured for Facebook posts involving, among other things, expressions of anti-Muslim, anti-immigration, and anti-gay marriage sentiments. Now, this is from is this from the newspaper? Yeah, this is from the newspaper. So whoever is in charge of the court commissioner has decided, or the paper has decided, that his statements were anti-Muslim, anti-immigration, not anti-illegal immigration, anti-immigration, not anti-terrorist, anti-Muslim, and anti-gay marriage. So they censured him. He stepped down from his gig. Did you hear about this? I hadn't heard about any of this, but I try not to listen to gossip. His conduct constituted conduct prejudicial to the administration of justice that brings the judicial office into disrepute, the State Commission on Judicial Performance said in a decision made public on Wednesday. And I'll read you some of the things that he posted on Facebook. I'm cool with that. I am. Because we want people to be impartial. The issue I have with it is we're just not consistent. It's so hard to know what the rules are. We were just talking about homeless people, and how the same rules don't apply to them like they apply to us, right? Because we're more likely to comply, so why not mess with us instead? And you know, we have a Supreme Court justice who has said horrible things about Donald Trump before he was elected, including that I think she would move if he were. What did Ginsburg say about him? I can't remember, but she just hates Donald Trump. And she's a Supreme Court justice. And so I have a tough time with this. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, the guy who overturned the first time, who overturned Proposition 8, the protection of marriage, is in a gay marriage, gay marriage. That's not prejudice? Of course it's not, because, and this is my opinion, because everybody's got their personal thoughts and views, and if you can read the law and interpret it the way that it was intended by the authors thereof, then you can be objective. But if you're making decisions based on your personal positions, then we've got a problem. So what are we going to say here? Did this judge on Prop 8, did he make his decision because he was in a gay relationship? Or did he make his decision because he felt that was the best interpretation of the law? I don't know, but he wasn't censured and he wasn't challenged. Ginsburg, same thing. Does she make rulings? Now, do we know if she even makes decisions based on her love or hate for Donald Trump? Or her personal positions on issues? I hope not. I would hope that I would always be objective if I were in a position like that, which is why I'm not in a position like that. But, so I just wish the rules were fair, were even. Mm-hmm. Everybody was held to the same standard. Okay, here are some of the things that he posted in 2017. Quote, when he said he was going to fundamentally transform this nation, he was gaining success. He was going to transform it from a primarily Judeo-Christian nation into Islam. Got it now? Thank God for Trump. Okay, see now. Now this one is a problem. He has everything right here. Obama wanted to fundamentally transform the nation. He wanted to transform it from a Judeo-Christian, but I don't think he wanted to change it to Islam. I think he wanted to change it to absolute godlessness. But that's me. So that one I could see how that could get you in trouble. And you know, I've been trying to pay attention to what I put on my Facebook page as I look for full-time work, because I just know, you know, but I just can't keep my mouth shut. I'm not that smart. But I also wouldn't say that. What a pity it is to watch the rhinos run from the immigration order like roaches when the lights come on. They are more interested in saving their positions than protecting the rest of us. Okay, so he made one post bagging on a liberal, and he makes another post bagging on Republicans. Sounds to me like he's pretty even-keeled at this point. And you know what? He's right. This is his personal opinion. I don't know what the judicial commissioner does, but I'm assuming it's not running political campaigns. And he says, for the Indian that would be reservation, that will not permit a wall built on 75 miles of border on their land, how about building a wall around the res? He's just being a smart aleck. Wow. See, that to me, he's just being a smarty pants.
Wow.
Well, but all reservations have borders.
They actually do.
They have their own police. Which takes me back to parks. My late husband's mother, Olene, she grew up on the Navajo Reservation. I mean, in the Navajo Reservation. Her father, Sylvan, that's right. My mother-in-law's name is Olene. Her father's name was Sylvan. His wife's name was Opal.
Say that, please. I gotta hear the name.
The name again?
Yeah.
Olene is my mother-in-law.
Okay.
She's a sweet lady.
First name? Okay.
Her father's name was Sylvan.
Sylvan.
And her mother's name was Opal.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be critical, but my grandparents were Vern and Irene, so I got about this much leeway. But anyway, she grew up on the reservation. It just takes me back to Parks because somehow she managed to grow up and become a perfectly successful banker, or like branch manager, HR person. She worked for years and years for the Salvation Army. She did all of this quite successfully, despite the fact that if they just wanted ice cream, they drove 3 hours. The Navajo reservation is huge, and they had a trading post.
That's true.
Yeah, Sylvan had a trading post, which is why when you walked into his house, there'd be like these beautiful, incredible, majestic Navajo rugs, the kind that people sell in museums, and he'd have them to wipe your feet on, have them on the back of a chair for your head. He just traded them for food and goods, whatever. But anyway, 3-hour drive if they went to Farmington. Now, if they just wanted to go to the Chat and Chew in Kirtland, and yes, there is a place called the Chat and Chew in Kirtland, and it was 2.5 hours. Wow. Did I ever tell you about the time I was in the Walmart in Farmington, New Mexico? I'm not kidding you. I'm in a Walmart in Farmington, New Mexico. I'm getting a card for somebody. This was last time I was there, which was for my husband's funeral. And I'm standing in the checkout line, and there's some Navajos standing behind me. And one of them says to the other, "They're taking over."
Oh, God.
I loved it. It was the greatest thing ever. I absolutely loved it. Anyway, away from Parks now, back to the gentleman who was censured publicly. Let's see. He said, "As I drove to the gym this morning, my route goes past several low-income housing units recently built and some apartment buildings that are also low-income. I did not see a single light on at 6 o'clock. That is when people go to work. Going to work, arise." That's when people who have kids who go to school arise. Mm-hmm. And maybe some people have to commute arise. It's not when Inga arises. I mean, I might open my eyes, but I'm watching TV. So anyway, he, another one says, "Islamists want bacon banned because it offends them. I say ban Islamists because it offends my bacon." He said Islamists. He didn't say Islam. Islamists are a different thing. Anyway, long and the short, always watch what you read or watch what you put on Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. I had a friend who wrote something last week that I found so unbelievable. I couldn't believe that my friend was saying this. That I posted a comment about his comment, but I didn't name him, mm-hmm. but he knew it was him. And he went on my email and said, hey, that's not what I said. And so what do you call it? Copied and pasted. Mm-hmm. And he said, "Well, that's what I said, but that's not what I was saying." And it's true. It happens to me too. It happens to all of us. So I actually feel bad for this guy. He served from 2007 to March 30th of 2018, and then he was publicly censured for his Facebook comments, and he had to resign, and he started turning over a new leaf and starting wherever. And yet Hillary Clinton kept her job. Mm-hmm. I mean, I struggle with the inconsistencies in life. So I wish him well, whoever he is. And there you go. That's all I have to say about that. Just watch your P's and Q's. If you're not going to watch your P's and Q's, then don't go for any public jobs, because they will be looking at you. And see, you know how earlier I said that all of my pages disappeared on me? Mm-hmm. Now they're all back. Now I have like 4 copies of that story. Won't go away. Dress code. I've been meaning to talk about this for a couple of days. The dress code in...
That was great. That was really good. You held that note for...
It was really more of a growl.
Yeah. It sounded like a note.
Feeling pretty good about that. So last week, a Texas principal had to apologize because he made a video for the students. Did you hear about this? Explaining.
No, I want to hear this.
Oh, he was explaining how bad girls dress for the dress code, and people got all in an uproar. I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't, but I'm a mother of boys. But don't bad girls. He said wear things like short athletic shorts, stuff like that. And I believe there's something in between asking a rape victim what she was wearing to insinuate it was her fault, and asking a teenager why she's wearing a halter top. You know what I mean? There's something, you have a daughter, there's something in between the two where you just go, look, there's an appropriate way to represent yourself and the family.
I used to get in trouble.
Because you say go back up those stairs.
No. I would, here's why I got in trouble. Because there would be other kids on my block. Mm-hmm. This was when I lived in the Dale. Mm-hmm. All right. So
you goose from the block.
So I would see these young ladies wearing shirts that would say porn star.
What would they say?
The shirt would say porn star.
Oh yeah, that's no.
And I would then ask them, are they advertising? And they would look at me like, what are you talking about? I said, well, it says porn star. I was wondering if you're advertising.
Well, good for you. Of course, nowadays they're running home to their mother.
I know.
Saying, that guy right there. Well, then don't wear the shirt. Now, I had a son whose favorite shirt we got at Plato's Closet. You know when you've worn a T-shirt for so long that it's nice and thin and practically holes, but not quite at the whole plate, but it's so comfortable. He found one, and it's got a peace sign on it in rainbow, and then underneath it says war. And I thought it was funny. But then again, I sent them to school with their NRA T-shirts. But anyway, the dress code in Northern California, it's a Bay Area school, of course. Not of course, but it's not a Central Valley school. Let's see, elementary, middle, and high schools have adopted a new dress code over the summer, according to the San Francisco Chronicle. We want kids and parents and guardians to decide what appropriate is. You decide what's appropriate. So, school administrators heard complaints about updated dress codes after they suggested a policy. Anyway, long and short of it is literally wear whatever you want at this particular school, which is, I'm trying to see where it is, Alameda. Alameda. It is literally wear whatever you want. The article starts with torn pants, tube tops, if you like. I don't know that the way that we dress changes our behavior. No, wait. I know that the way that we don't dress changes our behavior. When my dad was teaching at South High, and all the girls wore skirts, and all the boys wore pants, dressed and had collared shirts. And they measured the skirts, the length from the distance from the bottom of the skirt to the kneecap, that kind of stuff. They all went on to college or became wonderful homemakers or fantastic human beings for the most part. But in this case, students must wear bottoms, and they must wear tops, and they must wear shoes. They must cover their genitalia, their buttock, and their areolios and nips.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. With opaque material. Let's see. Students may wear hats, including religious headwear. Hoodie sweatshirts with the hoodie on. Perfect. Fitted pants, including leggings, yoga pants, skinny jeans. I'm okay with that. Sweatpants, shorts, skirts, dresses, pants. Midriff-bearing shirts. They can wear pajamas.
Oh, then I'm in.
You're going back to high school? Let's see. Way to go, Rodney Dangerfield. Ripped jeans, as long as the underwear is not exposed. What if you don't wear underwear?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. Tank tops, including spaghetti straps, halter tops, and tube tops. You can wear clothing with commercial or athletic logos. Okay, fine. This is going to end up causing gang wars, first of all.
Well,
somebody's going to wear red, somebody's going to wear blue. Well, I don't know if Alameda.
I just see a sexual harassment suit waiting to happen.
Well, and I was interesting because I've been looking at this and thinking, no. Children don't need it. Look, no matter what we wear, we're distracted about the way that we look. Were you self-conscious about the way that you looked at school?
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
I mean, yeah, I dressed modestly, and I had honkers back then.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't stop. I covered myself. It didn't stop boys from making comments. I mean, but I was watching Tucker Carlson last night, and I loved what he said, because he said to the liberal that he was debating, what if somebody wants to wear a KKK outfit to school? Forget what other things he suggested that they wear. And I hadn't thought about it in those terms. But what if? But the liberal was saying, I don't see what the big deal is. I mean, you're objectifying women, and women should be able to wear whatever they want to wear to school. Well, unfortunately, that's not the world that we live in. Guys are, I'm not going to say men are dogs or pigs, because they're wonderful, but it is in your nature to admire a lovely lady. Mm-hmm. Right? It's in your nature. It's what you do. And so if anybody thinks that a girl wearing shorts up to the top of her thighs, as long as they don't show her underwear, is a good plan, then we're going to have a problem, because boys are always going to be look distracted. They were distracted when I covered myself head to toe. I could have worn a burqa and they still would have seen these things. I know they're gone now, but they would have spotted them. So, I think this is going to be a bad experiment. But that's me.
Like I said, you're going to see a sexual harassment suit, or someone's going to get bullied for dressing the way they are, and I mean.
Well, think about it. We've got sexual harassment suits now, and people dress appropriately, or kind of appropriately.
I mean.
We've got claims of teachers making passes at students when they're in legitimate, garb. So I think you're right. I think it's just going to go up. The numbers are going to go up.
I mean, think about it. I mean, what if someone wore something with an American flag on it, or a rebel flag on it?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to see all kinds of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going to happen? You're going to have someone who's going to sit there and is going to go, well, the dress code, you said I can wear whatever I want.
Wear a Confederate flag.
Yep.
It's a great point. That is a great point.
And the fact that it's in the Bay Area doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
In the end, they say, we believe these changes will reduce inequitable and unnecessary discipline and help us maximize learning time.
No,
it's not, because you know what the girls are going to be doing? They're going to be pulling up their tube top in class, fixing their straps. They're going to be pulling up their pants to cover stuff and showing their belly button ring, making sure the boys see it. Trust me, it's not because they're sleazy. It's not because they're little SLUTs or porn stars. It's because as much as we love to pick on guys for looking at girls, I know that men like to believe that we dress for other women. We do not. At least not then. We dress for you guys. And I assure you, those girls are going to be preening and primping and making sure they're the sexiest girl in the class, and it's not going to end well. We believe these changes will reduce inequitable and unnecessary discipline and help us maximize learning time, says Stephen Fong, AUSD's chief academic officer. He said in a release, districts across the country are adopting similar revisions for similar reasons. We are excited to be moving forward with such a student-centered approach. So glad my kids are out of school. So glad my kids are out of school. All right. What have I done? What have I done today? Have I done anything good? Go ahead.
I was going to say, we still have a couple of videos.
Oh, we do. Oh, we have the. Oh, speaking of Utes,
Utes?
Speaking of Utes, somebody posted this video on Facebook last night, and they said, this will make you feel really old. And I watched it, and I said, no, it makes me feel incredibly superior.
Mm-hmm.
Let's play that. Let's play that video. Is there a commercial before it?
No, let's
Do we
go
have
to
to tolerate? All right,
What's your number? I asked you a question. You didn't answer. 2, 1.
No.
4. What? 2 and 4. What?
Oh no, I'm saying you're right. Oh, that's right. I thought you had to spin it around.
What's your
Oh,
number?
I think I know what it is.
What's your number?
Hang on. I got it. I got it. I know how to do it. I know how to do it. Move. Move. I know how to do it. I got it.
Well, if I did that, I just called Mom.
You didn't do it right. Hang on.
The chair's broken.
Do I have to let it go back every time?
And these are people who we let pick their own wardrobes for school. Is that not the best? Those are the greatest. Here's the problem. You know, when I reposted on my Facebook page, and people were, oh, kids don't know anything anymore. Da da da. I think it must be a video game thing, or it certainly isn't playing out in the real world thing. But I grew up with the rotary. A lot of people grew up with the rotary, right, when we were kids. And then we got the Streamline phone with the buttons and we were so cool then. But and people don't have a lot of rotary phones anymore. Although if you call certain government offices, they still say, if you have a rotary phone, press 1 for English, press 2 for blah, blah. If you have a rotary phone, call this number. Mm-hmm. So there are still people out there using their... That's the way it went. But here's the thing. Here's the difference. Maybe because people my age had less exposure to so many different outlets. Mm-hmm. We watched a lot of, 1930s Popeye and Bugs Bunny, in 1940s. We watched a lot of old movies. I know how to pick up a thing, put it to my ear, crank something, and hear switchboard. Mm-hmm. I know how to do that. You know what I mean? Because I was exposed to that.
The funniest part is when I'd be listening to the radio and they on a contest and caller 11. Oh. You call right now. I'd be like. My girlfriend's parents had poodles, and Tara gave birth to some or was it? No, Mandy gave birth. Tara did too, but that's another story. Mandy gave birth when she goes into labor. She hides in the closet. That's what dogs do, right? They go into a closet and they hide out. And my girlfriend Angie, her parents are at Hodell's at an event, and so she goes, "Quick, call my parents and tell them, call Hodell's." Well, that was back, before you could just dial 411. You dialed 0, and then you got, the number and you wrote it down. Well, anyway, she had one of those princess phones. Oh, I love those.
Oh, don't you?
Yeah, I remember those.
Yes, and it was porcelain, and it was a dialy, which is fine because I grew up on dialy, so I knew how to do it. The thing was, my girlfriend wouldn't let me turn on the lights because she didn't want to upset Mandy, who was having babies. So I'm like going 0, 1. No, 0 was at the bottom.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it took me so long to get a hold of Hodell's on that dang princess phone. Gosh. I mean, the pups were all born by the time I finally dialed the last number. Gee whiz. But at least I knew how to do it. I assure you, my kids could pick up a phone and know how to dial it. Mm-hmm. They would know how to do that. And so my guess is these kids are ignorant because they haven't been exposed like we were, because they've got so many more modern day things that they're exposed to. You know, we were watching Little House on the Prairie where, you know, Mrs. Olson was working the switchboard and she was listening to other people's gossip. So we grew up on that kind of stuff. So we're maybe perhaps more familiar with it, which is probably why people like us sometimes answer the phone, hoi hoi. Have you seen that Alexander Graham Bell commercial?
God, yes.
It's such a good commercial for Geico.
The only reason I laugh and I like it is because
during a play.
During a play, because I'm in the movie theater, and of course someone's phone and his phone goes off.
Yeah, and his phone rings and he's got the big wooden box and he answers it. And no, you're looking for number 2. I'm number 1. It's such a great commercial. I like every Geico commercial but the ones with the lizard in it. I think those are stupid, but the rest of them.
The gecko.
Yeah, the gecko. They're pretty funny. They're pretty creative otherwise, and that one that's a good one. That's really a good one. Anyway, what else do we have? What else do we want to do?
You want
to do mosquitoes?
I have the mosquitoes.
Okay, we've got a video about we didn't get to gun bills.
Well, we can end the show with that.
Okay, all right. So we'll do mosquitoes, then we'll come back and do gun bills. All right, very good. Let's tell you about the new mosquitoes that are, by the way, there's an E before the S in the plural of mosquitoes. And I still spell potato with an E as an homage to Dan Quayle. So this made me happy. But let's see this story.
All right, it's from Channel 7, ABC News
KABC?
Channel 6. I guess it's KABC.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A new species of mosquito is invading Southern California. The Aedes mosquitoes are nicknamed the ankle biters. Their bites become inflamed quickly and can turn into big red welts and rashes. Aedes mosquitoes do not belong here. They're native to tropical and subtropical climates, and they can transmit diseases including Zika virus and dengue fever. You are urged to get rid of any standing water around your home and make sure your window screens fit well.
We're back?
We're back.
Oh, they're called the 80s mosquitoes?
I didn't see them in the 80s.
I was just going to say, so when they get together in the morning, do they call themselves the Breakfast Club? Boom. The mosquitoes are nicknamed ankle biters. Their bites become inflamed quickly and can turn into big red welts and rashes. Well, if you're me, can you still see these? I can't see them unless I have a mirror. These are still these are 3 weeks old. Mosquitoes love me, and so I'm surprised I don't have Zika or West Nile by now. But the ankle bites, it becomes inflamed. Aedes mosquitoes, they have really big hair and they wear their bras outside their clothes. Aedes mosquitoes do not belong to California. And by the way, that story said Southland, but that's because ABC made it Southland centric. But the original story I found was these are new to California. They're native to tropical and subtropical climates. So somebody brought them over from Hawaii. I don't know. Boy, did I get ate up there. They transmit diseases including Zika and dengue fever. You're urged to get rid of any standing water around your home and make sure your window screens fit well. So there you go. Mosquitoes, a plight. And remember, when you do have mosquitoes in your pool, we do have a county-run vector control for both rats and mosquitoes that you can call. Or call Bugs Away Pest Control. They take care of it really fast. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. Mm-hmm. Ankle biters. That's what my dad used to call my kids. What's that?
Oh, it's not me.
Somewhere else. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. I'll give you some gun laws that are I guess, awaiting vote or awaiting the governor. They sneak these things through. They keep us so busy that we just can't keep up with everything. And so I'll do that when we get right back, and we will be right back. See you in a sec.
You know the word I'm thinking of. So in the words of my late friend Aretha Franklin, show some RESPICT. And the next time you get a black woman and a beagle confused, remember this. I got you.
At the time you were arrested, you were served with a DS-367 temporary driver's license. It's good for 30 days, but if you don't act within 10 days, at the end of those 30 days, your license will be suspended. It's important for your lawyer to contact the DMV for you. Set up a driver's license administrative hearing so that your license does not go into suspension. That's something here at Bramer Law we do for you.
Patriot Bail Bonds has the best customer service in Bakersfield. Patriot has more 5-star ratings than any bail company in Kern County. Plus, we're fast and affordable. If you run into the law, make Patriot Bail Bonds your first call. That's right, one call, that's all.
If you're in jail, call Patriot Bail.
All right, welcome back. Let's talk guns for just a moment. I'm not a gun expert. I have legally carried a firearm. I'm a decent shot. I'm not a big fan of long guns, although that's mostly what I own. But I do care about your Second Amendment, and I know you do as well. So this is from the Sacramento Bee, for what that's worth. Lawmakers in the Golden State say they are heeding calls for stronger gun control laws. Really? People just pounding on their doors demanding it, right? From students. In the wake of the massacre in Florida, opponents of some of the bills include the American Civil Liberties Union. What? Opponents? And the Firearm Policy Coalition, who say that the measures infringe on constitutional rights of Californians. We're sending a message, says the author. We're sending a message to Washington that we are listening to these young people. Why? They can't even vote. Who puts you in office? I don't get it. All the students walking out of class, holding up signs, making demands, they can't vote. Tell their parents to call you. Sorry. The bills would increase the age to buy a firearm to 21 in California. It would ban the sale of more than one gun a month. And I buy one gun every decade, so to me it's moot for me. But for those of you who are gun enthusiasts, well, why shouldn't you be able to buy a gun, more than one gun in a month, if that's currently legal? This is only restricting handgun sales, by the way. Other proposals would prohibit gun ownership for anyone involuntarily committed to a facility twice in 1 year for a mental health disorder, or for an individual who has been convicted of a misdemeanor domestic violence. Yeah, right. I knew a guy once who beat his wife almost to death. He took all his guns, and then he got them back. Yeah. The ACLU is not against, domestic violence. The ACLU is not against the bill that raises the age limit, but does find problems with the ones involving mental health. Way to go, ACLU. Step up for us to protect the mental. But I actually think that's fair, because we've got a lot of people nowadays who are medicated, who might fall under, like autism used to mean autism, and now there's, what do they call it, the spectrum, right? And so there's a whole bunch of people. Will they be able to buy guns? I mean, is a nervous disorder a mental illness now? I don't know. Is ADHD a mental illness now? I don't know. Could you be disqualified because you have anxiety? These are all the things that you got to think about when you go to the doctor and he says, "I think I'll give you this med." Wait a minute, can I even get a gun with that?
Yeah, my oldest, I think who you met.
Yeah.
He has Asperger's.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And,
so he's in the spectrum.
He's in the spectrum. High functioning, can very well take care of himself, and yet he wants a gun.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not my thing. But my dad took him out shooting and taught him what he had to do and showed him what he had to do. And,
how'd he do?
And he did pretty good. He got a little slide burn, but that's about it.
For me, with the long gun, it'd be the shoulder. Governor Jerry Brown vetoed a few proposals in a sweeping package of gun control bills in 2016. One of the bills limited someone to buying one firearm per month, which Brown said would have the effect of burdening lawful citizens who wish to sell certain firearms that they no longer need. This is true. You got 5 guns you no longer want. Can't sell them to the same person. He called another measure premature. But here are the new 5-1 bills, and then I'll let you guys go for the day. How about that? SB 1100 from Assemblyman, I think, Portantino, raises the age from 18 to 21. SB 1177, also by the same dude. Or gal, I'm not judging, you could be either, places new restrictions on the purchases, every 30 days, 1 gun. AB 1968, a great year for muscle cars. Not as good as 67, but 68 was pretty dang good. Now, it might be better. Assemblyman Evan Lowe. It establishes a lifetime ban on gun ownership for anyone who is involuntarily admitted to a facility for a mental health disorder. See, that's where it starts getting sketchy to me, because people can make all kinds of claims. That lifetime ban. 3129. This assembly bill would create a lifetime ban on gun ownership for anyone convicted of misdemeanor domestic violence. The bill applies only to convictions after January 1st, 2019. All right, guys, start punching her now. It is not retroactive, so as long as you beat the clock, the spouse, before January 1, if this passes, you're going to be good. So those are the different things. And that was out of the Sacramento Bee. I'm sure you can find a list as well. And as you know, without a doubt, our local representatives, even the Democrat, are probably going to vote no on all of these. But we're outnumbered. So there you have it. And with that good news, you have anything else?
Nope.
Just please, folks, go out there, love one another, hug your babies, and show a little RESPICT. That's all I ask. Just a little bit of respect, and thus we much, and much we shall. Thank you so much, Al Sharpton, for all the wonderfulness. Goose, thanks for getting us through. I do believe that Denise is up next,
yes.
Correct? All right, right on. Enjoy, Denise. My goodness, she has stacks of paper everywhere. Have you noticed? You've probably noticed that.
Yeah.
Stacks and stacks. I'm like, oh my gosh. These are my notes. Either she's working too hard or I'm doing something very, very wrong. All right. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. I look so forward to it. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm Inga. That was Goose, broadcasting from the Bakersfield Music Hall of Fame with Blue Sky Media and Kerncast. And we'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you.